You've been putting in the work, right? You've dialed in your diet, you're crushing it consistently with your workouts, and for a few weeks, the scale was doing exactly what you wanted. It felt great. But then, bam, progress just stops, completely halts. Well, if you're stuck in this rut, you are definitely not alone. In fact, a staggering 85% of all dieters hit this exact same frustrating weight loss plateau. It is literally one of the most demotivating things that can happen on a health journey. And honestly, it's why so many people just throw in the towel.
It's so incredibly natural to feel frustrated when this happens. You're probably sitting there asking yourself, why is my own body fighting my hard work? Like, am I doing something wrong here? But here's the really validating truth. This plateau, it has absolutely zero to do with your willpower. Your body isn't trying to ruin your cosmetic goals. No, it's actually executing a completely brilliant evolutionary survival mechanism. You see, to your biology, skipping a midnight snack looks exactly like a full-blown famine, and your body is stepping up to protect you.
Okay, so let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to demystify the actual science behind why weight loss stalls out, and more importantly, we're going to look at the clinical evidence to find out exactly what we can do to outsmart our own biology and get that progress moving again.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with number 1, the weight loss plateau itself, then move to 2, the biology behind it. For 3, we'll hit dietary tweaks for progress, followed by 4, the big HIIT versus steady-state cardio debate, and finally 5, what to do beyond diet and exercise. All right, let's jump straight into section 1, the weight loss plateau, and completely shatter a really pervasive myth. The idea that losing weight is just a simple, straight-line math equation. So when we create a calorie deficit, typically aiming for that medically recommended 1 to 2 pounds a week, our bodies don't just passively burn fat forever. It'll be nice, but no. The body actively adapts to protect its energy reserves. Think about it from an evolutionary perspective. Stored fat is your essential protective reserve against running out of food. So as you lose weight, your body kicks off this wildly complex series of metabolic adjustments just to put the brakes on that loss. And that is exactly what causes that dreaded plateau, usually within just a few weeks to a few months of starting out.
Moving right along to section 2, biology of the plateau. Now, we really need to look under the hood and understand the exact biological mechanisms of how your own metabolism seemingly turns against you.
This brings us to a concept called adaptive thermogenesis. You can think of this just like a smart thermostat in your house. When you eat less, your body literally turns down its internal heat to save energy. Your basal metabolic rate, basically your resting energy expenditure, just drops to match your new lower calorie intake. Down at the cellular level, your body is actually reducing heat production, which involves these specific mitochondrial proteins. The end result? You become incredibly, and frustratingly, efficient at conserving energy.
To put this into perspective, look at how our total daily energy expenditure actually breaks down. It's kind of wild how surprisingly small the exercise slice is compared to our basal metabolic rate, which is just the massive amount of energy we burn keeping the lights on and staying alive. Now, as you lose weight, you're losing both fat tissue and some lean muscle mass. And a physically smaller body simply burns fewer calories at rest. So that giant BMR slice naturally shrinks, which just feeds right into your plateau because your total daily energy expenditure has taken a complete nosedive. But guys, it actually gets worse. Because it's not just about burning fewer calories. We are talking about full-on hormonal warfare here. This plateau is largely driven by some incredibly powerful hormonal shifts. As you lose fat, your fat cells start producing way less leptin. Now, leptin is the crucial hormone that tells your brain, hey, we're full. But simultaneously, your stomach starts pumping out way more ghrelin. Yep, the infamous hunger hormone. And other hormones like peptide YY, which normally make you feel satisfied after eating, those decrease too. So your brain is literally being flooded with chemical signals screaming at you to eat more right while your metabolism is slowing down. It's basically the ultimate biological betrayal. All of these intense hormonal shifts really support something called set point and dynamic equilibrium theories. Essentially, this means your body looks at your starting weight and says, yep, that's our normal baseline, and then it uses literally every metabolic trick in the book to try and drag you right back up to that weight. Okay, so knowing our biology is fighting us tooth and nail, let's jump right into section 3, dietary tweaks for progress, and figure out exactly how to fight back. So here are your actionable, real-world takeaways. First, and this might actually sound a little crazy, if you're dealing with major diet fatigue and muscle loss, you might actually need a short recovery phase. Temporarily eating a bit more calories can give you an energy boost and help normalize those ramping hunger hormones.
Second, you want to bump up your protein intake to about 1.2 to 1.5 grams per kilogram of your body weight every single day. This is absolutely crucial for preserving that calorie-burning muscle mass and keeping you feeling full. Third, definitely load up on fiber-rich foods because they slow down digestion and keep you satiated. And finally, boost your NEAT, that's your non-exercise activity. Things like using a standing desk, taking the stairs, pacing while you're on the phone, it all really adds up to counter that slowing metabolism.
All right, but what about the workout side of things? Let's transition into Section 4, HIIT versus steady-state cardio. It's the ultimate showdown. Which one of these is actually best for breaking a plateau?
Now, research across multiple clinical studies shows that both of these methods are absolutely fantastic for improving your overall cardiometabolic health. In fact, a major meta-analysis found that both routines can help you drop about 2 kilograms of body fat over a 10-week period. So they both work. But they have very distinct, unique advantages that you really need to weigh based on your own specific goals and your lifestyle.
For a lot of us, time is the absolute biggest hurdle, right? Well, research from the University of New South Wales found something incredible. HIIT requires roughly 40% less time commitment to achieve the exact same total fat loss results as steady-state cardio. So if you are completely strapped for time, HIIT is hands down your undisputed champion.
And if you do decide to go the HIIT route, how exactly should you structure it? Well, one really interesting study looking at overweight women compared different work-to-rest ratios. The data points to a very specific interval as the most efficient for fat loss: 60 seconds of intense, near-maximum activity, followed by exactly 30 seconds of active rest. That specific structure pushes your body hard but gives you just enough of a breather to sustain that high intensity.
But hey, don't count out steady-state cardio just yet, because it has its own unique superpower. While HIIT is definitely the time saver, steady-state continuous training is actually superior at targeting and eliminating deep abdominal visceral fat. This is that really dangerous belly fat that wraps right around your internal organs and is heavily linked to things like diabetes and cardiovascular disease. So if tackling visceral fat is your primary concern, those longer sessions of steady-state cardio are medically the way to go.
Now, whichever path you choose, consistency is absolutely the name of the game here. You'll actually see cardiorespiratory improvements, like a higher VO2 max, pretty early on, usually around week 4. But clinical reviews show it takes about 8 to 12 weeks of consistent training to truly see HIIT pull ahead of steady state in reducing major cardiometabolic risks, like lowering blood pressure and massively improving your insulin sensitivity. You literally just have to give your body the time it needs to adapt to that new physical stimulus.
Finally, let's head into Section 5, Beyond Diet and Exercise. We need to talk about what happens when lifestyle habits are dialed in, but you still hit an absolute biological brick wall.
For individuals dealing with significant obesity, sometimes those hormonal adaptations to weight loss we just talked about are way too severe to overcome with sheer willpower and treadmill sprints. And that's exactly where medical tools come in. Things like GLP-1 receptor agonist medications or bariatric surgery work by chemically and physically altering that appetite feedback loop in the body. They essentially mimic the hormones that tell your brain you're full, which significantly weakens the body's defensive response. Ultimately, this allows patients to maintain a calorie deficit and experience a much longer period of weight loss before they inevitably hit a newly adjusted plateau.
So knowing that plateaus are definitely not a failure of your character, but rather this brilliantly designed biological defense mechanism, well, it kind of changes everything, doesn't it? You now know that this mechanism can absolutely be outsmarted, whether it's with a strategic recovery phase, a massive boost in protein and fiber, or by shocking your system with time-efficient HIIT intervals or targeted steady-state cardio. The science literally gives us the tools to win. So I'm going to leave you with this final question today. When that plateau inevitably hits, will you change your routine or will you let your biology win?